Let's go, Mark. Teach him how to Dougie. Hey. Teach him how to, they be like, Mark. Ooh, can you teach him how to Dougie? You know why? Because they want to learn. Hey, teach him, Mark. Yeah. Teach him, Mark. Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the party. How are y'all feeling? Y'all feeling good? Listen. I'm a needy speaker because I need some stuff from y'all. I need some stuff. Get your hands together. Rub them together for me real quick like this. I want to hear that sound like you didn't use lotion this morning. I want to hear that sound. Now, on the count of 3, we're going to do a big clap together, okay? On my count. Call that the power clap. We're going to get these bodies moving. 1, 2, 3, clap. Let me get a double clap. Triple clap. Yeah! Y'all even heard that rhythm y'all put in there? I didn't even tell y'all to do that. Y'all came with that rhythm. I'm so thrilled to be here, friends. Listen, my name is Mark Thompson. You may know me as Mark Techson. I'm a senior developer relations engineer at Google. And speaking of that, let me just put something on the screen for y'all. Okay, so a little bit of a disclaimer. You see, I work at Google. We're an AI company, so these views are my views, not those of my employer. But you should still listen to me. You know why? I'm still smart. And I'm smart enough to be honest. Let me be honest with you about something. I'm scared. If you have been online, you didn't even have to be online. I was at the park with my kid. At the park, and then one of the parents, this mom came over and out of nowhere was like, so, what do you think about ChatGPT? Are the jobs going away? What are y'all gonna do? And then, literally, that's how the conversation started. And I'm like, AI is so deeply entrenched in the culture, it's like an everyday word now. People didn't know what it was. It felt like 6 months ago, you didn't know that you were using AI all over the place. And then all of a sudden, everybody is talking about AI. But here's the talk that got me a little worried. Y'all seen tweets like this? 99% of developer jobs are going away 2023. They're saying we're out of business this year. Now, I know that the community, there are lots of career changes. Let me know if you're a career changer or a boot camper, self-taught. That is scary. You have spent the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years getting to this point, and now they're talking about it going away. How's that not scary? Or they're hitting you with the FOMO. If you're not using AI now, your career is toast. You are done for. Hollywood is done for. Coding is done for if you're not using AI. How could you not be scared? Even myself, I have almost 20 years experience in this field, and even myself, I said, ooh, what am I gonna do? But here's what we're gonna do. You see, whenever I get scared in life, and this is true, I allow myself to feel that feeling of fear, and then I say, we gotta make a plan. Let me hear you say, we need a plan. You're right, we do. And I say we, meaning me too. I am not above this. I'm not speaking to you from a place of, well, because I am a fancy Googler, I am protected, and you folks are on your own. No, we're in this together. We need a plan. Because what I know is that the industry is changing. I've been around for this before. This happened before. Way back when I first started coding, we wrote everything that was server-side rendered. Everything was server-side rendered. There was no front-end engineering. And then way back in about 2011, some libraries came on the scene. I started seeing things like Knockout and Batman and this thing called AngularJS. And I said, I should pay attention to that. I'm going to hedge my bets that this is the future. And I built my career off of that bet. I'm saying, we should pay attention to this. This is not the time to put your head in the sand and hope that it is a fad. This is the time to be in it. Okay, this is the time to be in it and to know what's next. But listen, first step of our plan, though, I want to know what I'm up against. I want to know what I'm in for. It's not even being up against. And I want to kind of dispel that thing that we're against AI or we have to fight it. let's know what we're dealing with. First way to do that is to get our vocabulary together. We got to have the right vocabulary to know what we're talking about and to know how to address it so that way we can move forward together. If that feels good to you, give me a power clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, first, AI versus ML. Now, is this a safe space? Yes. No. So I know whoever that was going to roast me after I make this confession. Leading up to preparing for this talk, I used AI and ML interchangeably because I kind of thought they were the same thing. I couldn't really articulate the difference between AI and ML. So I was like, yeah, it's ML, it's AI, it's the same thing. But they're not the same thing, actually. They're not the same thing. So let's make sure that we understand the difference so we can move forward together, friends. Okay, so what is AI? Artificial intelligence. Now, somebody just said, I already knew that. Tell me something I don't know. No, I got you. Well, but let's talk about it at a higher level because AI represents a big, broad industry, a big, broad subject matter. Okay, it's like a parent umbrella thing because we've been using AI for a while. And what does AI really do for programming? It gives just apps, your machines, your tooling, the ability to do things that we thought were only reserved for human intelligence. Right? So now when we say artificial intelligence, that's what we're talking about, is now that we have machines that can do things that we once thought were only reserved for human intelligence. Let me give you some examples. Think about object detection. We're really good at that as humans. Like right now, you've detected several objects. Some of y'all have already noticed I had a watch on, and you knew it was a watch. You knew exactly what it was without even having to do any extra processing. Isn't that fantastic? Like that's just why that you can do that. Some of you can tell if I'm tall or short, or if I'm like handsome or really handsome. Like all of those things, you could just figure out. And now we have machines that can do object detection. You can point your phone at a plant, and then it can tell you what type of plant it is. That's artificial intelligence that was reserved for us before because it required human intelligence. And now we got apps and machines that can do this type of stuff. It's amazing. Speech recognition, you talk to your phone right now. Hey, Google. Hey, Siri. Some of y'all got those Samsung phones. Hey, Bixby. Right? Like, y'all out here. Y'all out here. Look, I believe in you. You keep going with that. Right? And now your phones can understand you. That's speech recognition. But you in the audience are listening to what I'm saying. And your brains are already interpreting what I'm saying. It's really fantastic. And then recommendation engines. If you ever used Hulu, Netflix, anything like that, you see the recommendations. But before, people ask you, what do you like? And then based on what they tell you that they like, you start giving them feedback and saying what the recommendations are. Now, all these things that were human intelligence, they relied on human intelligence. Now we have artificial intelligence that can do a lot of that stuff. So we got AI. Now let's talk about the difference between AI and ML. Now, ML is machine learning. Now, somebody got an uncle who thinks this is machine learning, right? In the back, robots in the classroom. We're like, yeah, but them robots getting smarter. Listen, when I first learned about machine learning or heard of it back maybe 2015, 2014, I was like, wait, machine learning? Like, are they teaching, like in some classroom with like, what's happening, right? So my first interpretation wasn't that far from that, but I actually generated this image with AI. Right, so it's really cool to see how we can use it to do stuff. But machine learning, so this is being able to learn without being programmed to learn. Now that statement in itself is really wild to me. How do you learn without being programmed to learn? Well, it's all about data, right? Data is the way that this is done. Now here's where things get really interesting. So what are the algorithms used to create machine learning? Well, you got unsupervised learning. That's when you give a whole bunch of data, okay? Just a whole bunch of data. You give it to the algorithm, and the algorithm processes it and starts to look for patterns, starts to pick out details. That's what unsupervised learning is. Now, what about this one? Supervised learning. That's when you watch the computer as it does it. I'm kidding, you do not. Supervised learning is when we actually do get involved, though. Humans get involved, and we label data that we're going to feed into the algorithm. That's going to be training for the model. And then here's another popular one, which is reinforcement learning. Now, this is how we learn in life, like humans, like how you learn how to walk. When you were a baby, you tried to stand up and then you fell. And then you tried again, and then you learned how to use your legs. But then you fell again, and then you kept trying, getting a little bit closer because there was a reward likely that you were trying to get to. Maybe you saw a shiny object across the room, so you kept trying until you got it, even though you fell along the way. That's the same thing with reinforcement learning. The algorithm has a goal, but then what we're doing is going back and forth, trying better and better each time. There's a really cool video of watching an ML system try to play Super Mario and how it only gets a little bit, and then it dies, and then it gets faster and better, and eventually, after thousands of tries, it can complete a level, but it's through reinforcement learning. Now, why am I giving you all these terms? Well, it's two reasons. First reason is I want y'all to be geniuses, right? Like I want you to be in a conversation and then someone's talking about like, oh yeah, there's ML in here. Be like, really? Is the data unsupervised? Is it unsupervised learning or supervised? Or is it reinforcement? Because I think reinforcement might be a good fit. They're like, ooh, look at you. Look at you being smart, right? And that's what I want for y'all to know what's happening. So now we have a much clearer idea between AI and ML. So now you can see they're not really interchangeable terms. Okay, fantastic. Here's a bigger picture, though. You have artificial intelligence as the big thing, the big category. But then you have ML, machine learning. But guess what's a subgenre of machine learning? This other thing called neural networks, which is really rad how they're trying to like model our brain and how it works with computers. Really amazing stuff. And then you have a subgenre of neural networks, which is what? Deep learning. Fantastic stuff. So this is a really wide and broad field full of opportunity, friends. Now here's the boogeyman in the room, generative AI. This is the one that's coming for your jobs. You won't be able to make any images. It's going to write all your blogs for you. It's going to walk your dog someday, right? I mean, like generative AI is just like being put everywhere. So what is this? What is generative AI? Well, let me help you out, friends. This is the ability to create like novel assets using prompts or content using a prompt. So you describe what you want, and then it tries to create something novel, right? Again, the question is, give me a but how. I know, I'm going to tell you. Hold on. All right. The first thing when you think about those systems that can create images, now these things are really amazing. They use something called a generative adversarial network. Now, here's how those work. You have a generator, and you got a discriminator. Okay, a generator, a discriminator. Now, the reason I'm doing that voice is because a discriminator is a straight-up hater. You see, the discriminator knows what the real thing, let's say a flower. The discriminator knows exactly what a flower looks like. And it knows what fake flowers look like. And its job is to tell the generator, anything you make for me, I'm going to tell you if it's real or not. So the generator's like, okay, you know what a flower looks like? Here's a picture of a straight line. The discriminator's like, nope, get that out of here. The generator's like, okay, fine. Here's a green straight line. What do you think the discriminator says? Okay, here's a green straight line with the petal. And exactly right, that's the energy. And no. And this process goes back and forth until the discriminator cannot tell the difference. And when the discriminator can't tell the difference, then that's how you get those images that look so realistic because it's trained on real and fake data. So it knows the difference. All right. So that's how you get those. I'm really demystifying this for you so that way it's no longer magical. Because when something feels magical, you just kind of like let your eyes glaze over and you don't want to engage it. But when you break it down and you know what it is, you're like, I'm scared of that. I know how that was made. How strong is your discriminator model? Right? So see, now y'all feeling good about it. I love it. Now here's the good one right here. Generative pre-trained transformer. The generative pre-trained transformer. Does that sound familiar to you? That acronym? GPT. So now when somebody's like, oh, do you use Chat GPT? You mean, oh, Chat the generative pre-trained transformer? That's what we call it in my house. I'm sorry, I don't know what y'all call it. That's what we call it. I was just saying, right? Let's talk about how this works. This thing is fed so much data. I mean, just really incomprehensible amounts of data. And then it becomes really good at predicting what you want based on a prompt. That's a little cloudy. Let me explain. Let's play a game. I'm going to show you some lyrics. I want you to guess the artist from this. It's a famous artist. Let's see if you can guess. Just yell it out when you got it, all right? I'm going to rap it for you. Yeah, you know, I'm moving different. Since you've been different, I tried to text the bubble green, the fruit is missing. I tried to call the number screen, so who you missing? Your friends, they said to stay away, you choose to listen. Who does that sound like to you? Drake. It does sound like Drake. Or J. Cole. This is me. Okay, this is me. But let me tell you how I made this. I put on a Drake song, and I listened to it over and over and over again to train my model to think like Drake. And I said, okay, in this particular song, this is what I think he would say. And I did it with good enough accuracy that it not tricked some of y'all, but it convinced some of you all that that was written by Drake. That's how GPTs work. That's how they work. They get enough data that they can create something that you would think is from that source. But you do this already. Remember, I told you that your brains are amazing. You do this. You ever watched a movie before and you said the next line before the actor said it? Why did you do that? How did you know to do that? Because you've watched so many movies. You've ingested so much data that you can predict what's coming next. And it seems novel. But, you know, this wasn't from Drake. This is from Mark, so buy my album. All right. So let's talk about you and AI. So we have our terms. How y'all feeling about those terms? Y'all feel a little bit better? Is the curtain revealed? Y'all seen behind the curtain a little bit? Seen the Wizard of Oz and known that, oh, it's just a person with a flashlight making the big old thing? I'm not saying that the work done in AI is trivial by any means. I'm saying that you can do it. And I want you to understand that you can do it. I want you to feel comfortable knowing that you also can do it. So let's talk about you and AI. And I promised you some career guidance, some best practices. Let's get into that. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts. Because some of us need these right now because the rules are still being written. I'm going to give you a couple of them on how you work. So use AI tools to program with you, to pair program with you. There are fantastic tools that are out and those that are coming, yet to come still, that will help you be more effective at your job. So what I mean by that is use it to help you come up with, maybe if you don't remember the algorithm for something like binary sort, you need to do it. Use it that way. Do not put your company's proprietary code in these systems. Now, a very, very influential person in tech Twitter, she said this. Everybody tried to clown her and say she didn't know what she was talking about. And then, guess what happened? On the news, Samsung folks are in trouble because they were using their proprietary secrets in one of these GPT systems. So don't do that. Please, friends, keep your jobs, all right? Do not do this. All right. Use them to create a first draft of content. This is a really, really helpful thing. So I write a lot at work. Like I have to write lots of strategy documents. I have to write blogs. I got to write so much stuff. Sometimes I have writer's block, and I don't know what to do. So I'll ask Bard at work, like, okay, write an outline for this thing. And I'll use it as a jumping off point. But what I won't do is what I say, do not publish the content without reviewing it. Let me tell you what I tried as an experiment. I tried to generate this talk with AI. I used one of those systems, okay, generate a talk about AI. And it did generate a talk about AI. And it was the boringest talk I'd ever seen in my life. It was just a dictionary of all the terms with some colorful slides. And I'm like, it don't even sound like me. Why would I publish this? Why would I lose my authentic voice, my uniqueness? Why would I lose all of that to cut some corners? Your voice is what makes you special. The reason a lot of you, it's so amazing that you may be undervaluing what you uniquely bring, what you and your experiences uniquely bring to your technical work. The way that you think your experiences, the way that you've lived this life changes the way that you write code, changes the things that you write, the videos that you create. So why would you want to just wash all of that away? Use the tools to help embellish your work. Don't use them to replace, because here's the bigger problem. These systems are what's called authoritatively wrong at times. Not all the times, but at times they are authoritatively wrong. Here's a perfect example. A lawyer this week, you can see this on the news. You saw this one? Was going to sue an airline, used a system to create the legal brief. It came up with 6 fake cases. He asked it if they were fake, and it said no. No, these are real. Literally, this is a part of the brief. No, these are real. Submitted them. The judge was like, what is this? You putting these fake cases on me? And look how embarrassing that must be. Like, for not only for the lawyer, but for the client that hired the lawyer, trying to get real damages back from a really bad experience. They don't know that they're wrong. They don't know that they're wrong. They hallucinate. That's okay, I know that sounds funny, but that's the actual term. So when you're having your genius conversations with people, like, what about hallucinations? How are you mitigating the hallucinations? That's like real language, right? But they hallucinate. Isn't that wild? It's really wild. Okay. So here's what I want you to do next. So we talked about how you can use it to get better at your work, be faster. But let's talk about your career. What do you do next? All right, first, prompting is not going away. Okay, so don't ignore it. Don't ignore prompting. That's a mistake. Okay, learn how to be good at it. The same way when you first started using Google as an engineer, you used to ask really bad questions and couldn't find the answer, and then your senior engineers would come over and tell you how to type it, right? This is the same process again, right? You're gonna have to learn how to prompt. Get good at it. Get good at learning how to ask for what you want effectively. Now, this is the real magic, okay? And I was just in a fantastic talk that if you did not see it, is with a guy named Gant. He did a fantastic talk showing how to do this stuff, all right? Learn how to build AI-enabled applications. Because what's going to happen is this, and this is my vision for what I think is happening next. Users will start to expect more out of applications. They're just going to want more. They're going to say, well, I had an appointment in the calendar. Why did it not just read the appointment, text my sister, and call my Lyft? It knew where I was going. So why didn't it do it? And you may have asked yourself, why didn't my phone know how to do that? That's opportunity. That's opportunity for you to start to learn how to build AI-enabled apps. And this is what I really believe you should do right now. If you had to ask me, Mark, well, what do I do next? Do this now. Learn this now. Learn how to use the tools that are available now to build these systems. All right, you need to learn how to do deeper AI work. Now, this is the thing that as you're going, I want you to learn that there's even a bigger space. You can learn how to train models. You can learn about how the algorithms work. Get involved. There's just so much space for you, okay? There's so much space for you, so do that stuff. Let me show you a quick AI example before they start flashing this light in my face, because I'm not getting down. Okay, so I made this little social media app, all right, called Other Sky. All right, so I made a post. Bridges are really dope. Check this one I came across. And then I want to add this photo of a bridge. One of the problems that we find is that alt text is always a problem. People don't want to write alt text. You should, though, because you have to serve people who don't use the internet the same way that you do. Make stuff for everybody. So here's what I'm going to do. I have this nifty little AI helper that I'm going to ask it to generate some prompts for me for my AI text. And then here's what it did. It looked and identified the things in the picture that I can use to go with my with my alt text. Now, how did I do this? Not a lot of code. I actually used Firebase, and it has this extension called Image Labeler. So when you upload an image to it, it just will trigger that extension. and then it'll just send you back down the data. And then I just put it in the app. It's a regular app. But now it's AI enabled and it seems smarter. Those little animations was just me trying to make it look like AI, right? Like, you make it fancy. We get to decide that. The race to replace is not the future. This is, in my opinion, a misguided aim. People who are trying to replace the workforce, they will lose out because you are what makes everything special. You are the magic. I think that the real thing to do is to race to embrace what people we have and then give them superpowers by using AI. So we started as scared, not scared anymore. Now we're ready. Let me tell you one final thing, friends. Sure, there is artificial intelligence out there, but I want you to believe me when I tell you this last thing. Yeah, there's artificial intelligence, but let me tell you the thing that you have that makes you the magic, like I said. You're already intelligent. Now get out there and win this thing. I appreciate it.